It really does seem like Mappa is spoiling us. We can't go an entire season anymore without having some grand epic that's being done by Mappa with crazy animation and massive amounts of polish. But I will say that I'm typically kind of hesitant with Mappa anymore because while these series are really polished, I don't necessarily get into the stories themselves. But with this season, with the spring 2023 anime season, we obviously have Hell's Paradise. And so the question mark becomes, is it more than just the polish? And I can honestly say, I'm pleasantly surprised with what I got so far. Going into the realms of a battle royale type of show with a lot of people on an island and just mass violence happening, all with the heart of what it means to be a killer, it seems. But this is my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Hell's Paradise, so let's jump right into it. Hell's Paradise opens up with a Gabimaru the Hollow, and this is a guy that is set to be executed. The only problem is that he doesn't die. Everything they try, it doesn't work. They try to cut his head off, and his neck is so strong, the blade breaks. They try to burn him alive, but he doesn't burn. They even try to take cattle and rip him in half, and nothing seems to work. Well, over time, he ends up meeting Sagiri, who ends up questioning him while he's in his cell, trying to figure out where he's from, what does his clan do, and can we kind of find out all this information about the clan itself, and how he's pretty much sent out to do these assassinations. But at some point, it seems like Gabimaru wanted to leave. He wanted to leave the clan, and so his chief set him up. Set him up to be caught and then brought to this place to be executed. Now, the thing that Sagiri presses on Gabimaru is the idea that despite the fact that he says that he's good with dying, like he's given up, he's been pretty much betrayed by his village, there's all this kind of undertones of something being wrong there, eventually she gets Gabimaru to admit that no, in fact, he wants to live. Despite the fact that his words state that he wants to die, he actually wants to live. And this is something that Sagiri is able to see through the reflection of her blade. Claims that her blade reflects the truth. And yes, Gabimaru wants to live. And that's where we find out the truth behind Gabimaru and why his chief betrayed him. He was set to wed the chief's daughter, and the chief's daughter made him soft, to the point where he no longer wanted to be an assassin. She was the only one that seen that he wasn't hollow inside, that he was a good person, because of everybody in the village, he was the only one that was willing to see her and not be disgusted by the scar on her face. The scar that she received on her face because she wanted to be something more than just a childbearer. But the problem that Gabimaru had is every time he returned home to this person that was special to him, he was covered in blood. Like her, she wanted to be something more than what their village wanted them to be. And so he told the chief that he no longer wanted to be an assassin, and that's what turned the chief against him. So yes, Gabimaru wants to live. He wants to return to the village, and he wants to go back to his wife. And that is what Sagiri ends up pulling out of him, and thus proposes to him an option. She was sent there by the shogunate for a particular expedition that's happening soon. By the order of the shogunate, anyone that goes on this expedition to this island of paradise and retrieves this elixir of life, returns with it will be granted pardon. And so, Gabimaru agrees. And then we cut to the second episode where pretty much a lot of that is where we see the gathering of all these different criminals, that pretty much expendables. Expendables in society that have a lot of crimes upon them that are set to be executed, have the option of being able to go to this expedition, go to this island, this paradise, and get this elixir to pretty much clear their name. So you have murderers, you have arsons, and so on and so forth. And also in the second episode, we see a lot about Sagiri herself, this executioner. She is from the Yamada clan, and they're a clan of, yes, partially executioners, but also just pretty much anything that surrounds people's deaths. Making medicine from corpses, testing blades on humans. And while her senpai Aizen is claiming that she is not fit for being an executioner, we see from her perspective that she doesn't really have a choice. This is what the Yamadas do. What more so torments her is this perspective that she always desired to be able to remove all fear from herself when she executes, thus removing any chance of pain from those that are condemned. She wants a clean cut. She tells us one story of this execution that was done where the condemned was pretty much wanting to tell a story while he was executed. And it was such a clean cut and so painless that the person was able to finish their story. Not sure about that. Like, even showed him like bowing and everything after he's beheaded. I'm like, I don't know that. I don't think it works like that. But again, it gives you a perspective of being able to make such a clean cut and so precise that it removes all pain. But yes, now that all these people are gathered, including Gabimaru and Sagiri and all the other condemned, they are given them with the choice of being able to do this expedition. And additionally, they have only so much space on the boat, so everybody's got to kill each other. So they have a little battle royale in front of the shogunate, because why not? And eventually Gabimaru essentially questions the shogunate and the decision to have them all kill each other. And this angers them, so they have the other people attack Gabimaru. And yes, this kind of forces his hand because he doesn't want to kill, but he will kill in order to survive because, again, he has a goal now to get back to his wife. And so he goes nuts and viciously kills a bunch of people. So my thoughts on Hell's Paradise. So far, so good. With these 2 episodes, like I said, we've done a really good job of establishing our main 2 characters, Gabimaru and Sagiri. Gabimaru's story was really good. I enjoy the idea of kind of having this perspective of what his lie he tells himself, and then the perspective of what the truth actually is. And I think that was really well done with the perspective of Sagiri using her blade to tell her the truth. Gabimaru was subconsciously protecting himself. He didn't want to die despite the fact that he felt betrayed and he just wanted to give up on everything. But no, he has a goal. He wants to return back to his wife. So the idea is to get the pardon and return back to his chief, who won't be able to do anything to Gabimaru. His name has been cleared at that point, and they'll give him that protection. And I think the cooler thing within that whole segment was, again, these 2 different perspectives of his experiences with Yui, where you have one shot where he comes in and she's over off to the side, kind of softening him, and he doesn't want it. And then you have this other later shot where he's suddenly going in there and he's reacting to whatever she says. It gives this idea of, okay, he was ignoring her. No, he wasn't. He was reacting to everything she did. Because again, she sort of showed him that there was more to him. And he did end up liking it. Again, softened his heart. Made him a bad assassin. Because at its core, it's about this village, this clan, that forces them to have to either be children bearers or killers. The men are the killers. The women are the children bearers. That's all it is. She wanted to be something different. She was scarred by the chief for it. He wanted to be something different. They betrayed him and sent him off to be executed. So again, it's a good setup. I like it. And I'd also like the fact that because of what she instilled upon him, he continues to have this mindset of, I don't really want to kill unless it's necessary. It's natural for people to not want to have to kill each other if they don't have to. Sagiri, on the other hand, I'm okay with. I think the 2nd episode was a pretty solid start. But it kind of just, towards the later part, turns into one of those things where it's like, well, it wasn't about me trying to figure out how to not fear executing. It should be about me wanting to have the strength to carry the burdens. And it's like one of those aspects of like, we're trying to make way too much out of cutting off heads. I understand the idea of that fear that she would have, that if I don't cut right, I have to swipe again, and then again, and it's going to be extremely painful. But again, this is condemned people. I don't think much people care about the suffering of the condemned. But again, it goes in that whole aspect of class and honor and all that kind of stuff, which I fully understand. These people aren't being burned to death on purpose. They're being executed by beheading. Now, of course, the big stinger for me, the thing that I'm actually looking forward to, and I was really hoping that we'd get into it by episode 2, but that's fine. I don't want them to rush or anything like that, is getting into the Battle Royale aspect, which, of course, that's what we're eventually getting to, which, well, according to Gabimaru, I got a huge chuckle out of the fact that I watched the first episode, and at the very end of it, she's like, well, you're going to get this pardon if you go to this island and get this elixir and return back with it. And he's like, well, okay, I'll take on any island or any other convicts that I have to. And I'm like, wait, when did we establish this is going to be a battle royale? Like, suddenly Gabimaru just assumes that he's going to go to this island and have to fight a bunch of convicts. But yeah, that's kind of where it seems like they're going with, based on what he's kind of making that assumption of, is that they're all going to go to this island. This island is weird. And I think that's the thing that I'm most interested in seeing about, because they obviously sent some people to get this elixir, and they came back, and they were all turned into flowers. The ones that survived had lumps, and eventually those lumps opened up to flowers, and they're barely human anymore. So the big question mark is going to be, what's there? What is this paradise, and why do they call it paradise? Some of the guards even get angry at the convicts because they don't want to go there, and yet they're like, you're being given the honor of going to paradise. They were jealous. It's like, well, then why don't you go? But I will say there's like a little bit of a question mark for me, because they're sending the convicts to go to this island. They're obviously sending convicts because they're expendables. Send the people that we don't care about, that, you know, should be able to survive by themselves. Send them out there, give them this one thing they'll want. And if they don't return, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to send Gabimaru, who's killed a bunch of people. They're going to send all these people that killed a bunch of people. They're sending arsons and all this kind of stuff. And, oh yeah, by the way, we're also going to send a bunch of people from the Yamada clan. It's like, well, why do we bother sending the convicts that you can't control when you're going to send Yamadas anyways? The Yamadas seem like they're extremely skilled. Like, these are people that can lop off heads lickety-split. Why are we sending a bunch of convicts when you're already sending the Yamadas? Just send the Yamadas. And then you don't have to worry about them getting out of control or anything. But again, that's the logic. We don't really need that. Just throw out the logic. I guess the idea is that with the convicts, they're skilled in multiple ways, whereas the Yamadas, they're just skilled in execution. That's all they know. They just lopping off heads. That's all they're known to do. So you have somebody that is up front that is skilled and expendable, and then you have the one behind them that will keep them in check. Because the idea is that, yes, if you don't return back without your Yamada, you're not going to get on a boat. If you do something wrong and the Yamada sees it, they'll lop your head off, so on and so forth. But again, it's kind of like they're just doubling up the deaths by sending a convict and the Yamada. But hopefully that'll create an interesting chemistry. It's already kind of created one with Gabimaru and Sagiri, and I'm hoping we'll get something similar to that with the other characters. I'm sure several of these convicts are going to end up killing their Yamada and then running around rampant. It's going to turn into one of those things of like, despite the fact that they have a threat ahead of them, they're probably going to start fighting each other eventually over whatever they can find. But the question mark's going to be is what's on that island? What are they going to be facing? What creatures? What's poisoning the people to make them grow flowers? Is it something they ate, a fruit or something like that? Will it be supernatural, or will it be an idea of them creating their own supernatural element within this area? Again, everybody believes this is paradise, so if somebody comes back full of flowers and stuff like that, they're going to think that, oh, well, they've been blessed to be happy or something. Visually, really solid so far. A lot of really fantastic shots, a lot of great emotion. They're really kind of pulling off a lot of things, like the whole thing with Sagiri and being kind of overcome with that fear and showing it kind of overtaking her was fantastic. Showing Gabimaru and him sort of taking on the burdens of the deaths that he has caused. All that stuff is really cool. I will say that I was really disappointed in the first episode because like it seemed like it was barely animated in certain shots that should have been really well animated. Like the fight between Sagiri and Gabimaru was decently animated, but then it like cut to this part where he uses this ninjutsu and it just cuts away and it's like, well, that was disappointing. But we saw it a lot more in the second episode. The second episode had a lot more action in it, them just kind of tearing into each other. And yes, the whole segment of Gabimaru going nuts and taking out all the guys was brutal and amazing. So definitely great stuff there. I got a sense of Chainsaw Man with the OP, which is really weird. Not like it's one for one, of course, because we have like ninjas and samurais versus like chainsaws and stuff like that in modern times. But it just had a feeling, like, I felt like if you put this side by side with Chainsaw Man, it'd probably be very interesting to see. Not that, you know, it's got a bunch of movie references in the OP for Hell's Paradise, but more of just the style. Certain shots look very similar in style, because that's typically what they do, is they have, like, some shots that look like the standard anime style that they're going with for the show, and then you'll have these other shots that are, like, overly polished, and they look sort of different in style. I have that same feeling between the two of them. And so when I was watching Hell's Paradise, all I can think about was Chainsaw Man's OP. So it's like, yeah. Additionally, even though I do like the song, doesn't fit the show. It almost doesn't fit the show in a lot of respects, which kind of sucks. Now, I'm not saying that they should have like some old, like, period piece music or anything like that for this particular time period, but still. Overall, though, really enjoying it. Looking forward to more. I will say that I have a little bit of hesitancy. I think the main thing that I have a hesitancy for is Gabimaru and Sagiri going to be interesting enough as a pair? Gabimaru is like super chill, and Sagiri is just super chill too. So it doesn't seem like they have much chemistry besides what kind of drives them together. So obviously I'm kind of hopeful that as they get out to this paradise, they're going to be more free to kind of talk and really kind of develop themselves as characters. Anyways, that's my thoughts on Hell's Paradise. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the series and if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks button down below. Also a membership button. I greatly appreciate it, but it supports the channel, and y'all take care.